Hey friends, it's Marissa, and in this episode of I'd Like to Unsubscribe, Britt and I are kicking off a two-part series called Sick Love. And let me tell you, we are going there. So we're starting with this big lie that we often tell ourselves that is completely rooted in fear, and it sounds like, I am going to be abandoned. And a lot of us even start speaking this over ourselves even before we get into a relationship. Because when you're living with a chronic illness or working through some other kind of serious trauma, that fear isn't just a passing thought, right? It can actually sit really heavy in your chest and quietly whisper that maybe a partner can't handle this forever. This episode is messy, it's vulnerable, it's funny, and it is full of truth. And we talk about what the fear of abandonment really looks like, why it actually shows up in our life, and how couples can stay connected when it looks like nothing that you have actually planned, right? So if you've ever felt like you are too much to love, or if you're scared that your person cannot possibly stick around this forever, then this episode is for you. It's also for them too. Let's get to it after a quick word from our sponsors.
Are you experiencing symptoms of lupus or feeling alone on this journey? The Lupus Foundation of New England is here to help you. They're dedicated to supporting those living with lupus, offering education, resources, and a community to help you navigate the journey. From learning about symptoms and testing to upcoming events and research, the Lupus Foundation of New England has you covered. Visit lupusne.org and connect with others who truly understand. You don't have to do this alone. Visit lupusne.org. That's lupusne.org today. What if the life you planned vanished overnight? For Marisa and Britt, it was painful chronic conditions without cures. We lost everything: our health, independence, careers, and even our sense of self. But in the wreckage, we found something unexpected: a chance to rebuild. Welcome to I'd Like to Unsubscribe, the podcast for anyone feeling stuck, lost, traumatized, or just straight up over it. This isn't about surviving illness or trauma. It's about ditching the toxic beliefs holding you back and even daring to dream again. We're bringing real talk, hard-earned wisdom, lots of sarcasm, and practical tools to help you rise. You'll laugh, you'll cry, and you'll remember, even in the darkest moments, hope is still alive.
Hey friends, welcome back to I'd Like to Unsubscribe, episode 7, the podcast where we unsubscribe from guilt, shame, and all of the unsolicited medical advice from your Aunt Karen. This is a place where we ditch the fake positivity and we actually embrace the real stuff. Like wondering if our special person is secretly planning their escape every time we, or actually I, cancel dinner or hiking or movie plans again.
Oh yes, because today we are kicking off this two-part series called Sick Love. Because being in a relationship when chronic illness shows up completely uninvited is, in a word, a journey. You were hoping your vows of in sickness and in health weren't going to be tested, but here you are anyway. Lucky you.
We're so lucky.
No, so.
And yes, we are going to actually unpack and unsubscribe from that fear of, am I going to be abandoned? Because let's be honest, when you are living with chronic illness or autoimmune disease or trauma, it is one of the scariest, deepest fears that a lot of us carry. And I think for some of us, this fear has already been made a reality in the past. And you might be living with a similar fear that's hovering over you now that says, am I going to get abandoned again? So don't click off because we get it more than you know. So stick with us here because we're going to unpack some truth around this topic.
Oh, okay. So I'm going to be that girl and I'm just going to say it. Being sick makes relationships hard. I know you guys didn't know that, but I just wanted to point it out to you that being sick in a relationship is really hard. You know, there's the fatigue, right? There's the brain fog, the pain, the canceled plans, the symptoms that don't even sound real. Like, lean in here. A couple days ago, my tongue was burning. That existed in my body. So how about that? And then there's the fear that it's all just might be too much, right? The fear that your partner might not stick around, that they'll hit their breaking point, that they'll get tired of the doctor's visits, the emotional weight, the life you can't live anymore, and then they're just going to leave.
Yeah. And it's such a scary thought. I mean, because we're already dealing with so much. And the thing is, Britt, like, I don't think that fear is irrational.
Mm-hmm.
And let me just say, the fear isn't just about like being alone, but I think it's about like, are we going to lose security, identity, and really, like, are we going to be punished in this life for something we never chose? Like, none of us ever wanted to get sick. Now, really quick, because this is important, and I want to share some of the science first, so you probably already knew I was going to go there. But when Britt and I were researching for this topic, there was a study from Stanford, and it showed that women diagnosed with a serious illness are 6 times more likely to be left by their partner than if it is the man that is diagnosed. Okay? So that's just one. Like, that was mind-blowing.
Brutal stat.
Yeah. It's very sad to me, okay? The state of the world that stat actually exists in. And another one was from 2009. There was a study published in the journal Cancer. It showed 21% of relationships ended shortly after a woman was diagnosed with a serious illness. But here's the kicker on that study. The percentage was so much lower if it was a man getting diagnosed, and that percent was 3. So,
oh man, you need to step up your games, y'all.
Right?
Woo!
Like, we're waiting.
Yes.
Do it now. So honestly, ladies out there, like, that fear isn't unfounded. Like, society's expectations and our gender roles right now, they are alive and they are not well. Okay. So I know that these aren't like fun stats, and I hate that, we're kicking off with the episode with stats like this, but they're real and we need to talk about it. So if you are wondering, like, am I imagining this fear of like being so terrified that I'm going to be abandoned? The answer is no. Like, your fear has receipts and they've actually been peer reviewed.
Oh, I mean, that one's brutal. Those are brutal stats on there. And we're not just coming after the men. Y'all, we've got some really good things for partners later. So we're not pulling you out and just, putting you aside. But like, let's even go deeper than that, right? Because abandonment doesn't just mean that somebody packs a bag and then like adios, and then just leaves. It really starts way before then. It starts emotionally. It's quiet. It's subtle, but it honestly is just as painful. It's that feeling when your partner stops asking, how are you really doing? Right? It's just that kind of that surface level that you start to feel when they really just stop showing up for you emotionally, because it's obvious that they can't handle the weight of your current reality, of both of your current realities, right?
Yeah.
It's when they seem to start just going through the motions. They are present in the room, but they're not in the relationship, right? And they're becoming this roommate instead of a safe space. It's when they look at you and you're not seeing love reflected back. You see this sense of disappointment, or even worse, a sense of resentment. And abandonment doesn't just start at goodbye and divorce, right? It's not just that when I signed the papers. It starts when you are grieving your body, you're grieving your energy, your loss of independence, and your person is grieving theirs too, right? We've talked about that. We talked about in the first 2 episodes that the people that we love need to grieve too. So they're grieving, but instead of grieving with, right? It's the with you. They start to shut down, they start getting distant and act like everything's fine when it is so obvious that it is not fine for any of you. And you feel like you're slowly disappearing into your own life. There seems to be this like slow fade of intimacy. There's a slow fade of presence and support. Your needs are inconvenient now. Your sadness is too loud for them. And your pain is something they're kind of just tiptoeing around like it's a landmine. And that is also absolutely abandonment. that is to abandonment. It's not always just these slamming doors. Not all abandonment is loud. The worst sometimes is the silence. It's the silence when there used to be closeness. So, all right. So, you know me. If you've listened so far, I'm the crier. So here we go.
No,
I know.
Britt.
I'm sorry. But here we are. So I want to tell you the story, and it's hard for me, but we are dedicated to telling you guys truth. So I went to the Mayo Clinic a few years ago after I was diagnosed, and I was terrified, but like super excited to go. Do you guys get that? Because I really thought this was going to be the thing that was going to turn my health completely around. Like they were going to figure it out. I was so hopeful, but I was also highly traumatized, super over-medicated with thyroid meds, and just overall just so stinking scared that they were actually going to find the thing that I wanted them to actually find. So I really wanted answers, but it's this mess, right? And I think everybody listening kind of gets that. So I'm waiting in the lobby for this appointment that took me 6 months to get. And I know we joke about that, but this is a no-joke situation. It took me 6 months, and I am freaking out. I mean, like, I am full panic. I'm shaking. My stomach is threatening mutiny. I'm trying to box breathe, like they're like, just breathe in for 4 counts and then hold and then breathe out for 4 counts. Like, okay, like I'm using all my tools, right? I am for sure losing the battle on that one. And I'm about to barf and or have diarrhea. So there's some truth for you. When I look over at my husband, and he's sitting right next to me, and he is completely oblivious to my current state. He is, in fact, looking at his phone, chuckling to himself as he scrolls through socks with funny faces on them. Guys, full truth here. The receptionist across the room is giving me the eyes like, honey, you okay? I mean, I don't know if she was Southern, but it just feels right in my soul. So, honey, you okay? But the human right next to me, like to my right, sitting arm to arm, is completely checked out.
Was she saying like, honey, bless his heart?
Yeah. She was probably staring him down more than me. He's sitting right next to me, arms touching, and he is at the appointment. He attended the appointment, but he was not present. And I felt so alone. The worst kind of alone, right? The alone in a full room kind. And in transparency, that's how my marriage felt for many years. He was there, but he wasn't present. But I have to tell the whole story, right? Because it's not fair just to air out his dirty laundry. In totality, I also emotionally abandoned him too. Because when I was first diagnosed, I was a mess, y'all. And I definitely wasn't like, no, Taylor, I can't calm down. Because I was too busy having flare up after uncontrollable flare up. And my anxiety levels were through the roof. I was in constant fight or flight mode. And often I was only able to think about me and how this made me feel. I truly had no capacity to enter into his pain or story. I was extremely defensive and scared that anytime he even was brave enough to just try to talk to me about how this affected him too, I couldn't hear it. I was desperately trying to get better and survive. So the most emotional output that I had was being given to our daughter, and he truly just got the leftover breadcrumbs. In my immaturity at the time, I couldn't really see how this could affect him or give him any space to say, I'm frustrated, but then not turn that into an indictment against myself. So I overshared my pain and I focused on getting better, and he shared none of his because he didn't want to burden me with more pain. So we essentially abandoned each other with good intentions. But we could have avoided all this, right? Which is what I, in the look back, see as just a few necessary elements. The elements of truth, trust, and a few good conversations. The truth about how hard this was for both of us. The trust that we could still love and fight for each other, even if it got harder and when it got harder. And honestly, just these heart-to-heart conversations that made space for the hard. And the grace for the humanity that made us remember we do in fact love each other and we are best friends. And man, if someone had told me that truth would set me free back then, my story could have been so different.
Yeah. I mean, but here's the thing, like when you share that story, and I'm glad you shared like both sides of it, you know, you're seeing how they're reacting, right? And like you said, they're there, but they're not truly present.
Yeah.
But you can also see on your own side, right? So there we have some self-awareness. When we are diagnosed or we're going through like that initial diagnosis and how sick we are shortly after that, because like nothing's under control, right?
Right.
We do, I think a lot of us, like we do kind of shut down and we're just so focused on surviving in that moment. Lupus Chick used to be called Lupus Survival Guide because like when I first started it, because I just couldn't even think about surviving like more than this day, right?
Yeah.
Like let's just get through the day. But no one tells you like these are the moments where your communication, like we already know communication is like the root of all relationships flourishing, right? Having good communication. Like you need it even more so during these initial times or these really difficult times. And those are going to be really messy conversations, right? They're going to be super uncomfortable. You're not going to have all the answers because you just got diagnosed. You have no idea what the heck is going on.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of trial and error, and you're going to get irritated at each other. You're going to get irritated at the medical system. Like it's going to be messy, right?
Yes. Yeah.
But,
and let me just jump in like real quick because I want to make it really clear. It is totally okay that if you're in the beginning stages of a diagnosis, that you are pretty self-involved, right? Like your body is in fight or flight and you're threatened and you guys are trying to figure it out together. It wasn't wrong that I was trying to get better and that I, was so, self-focused because we didn't know if I was going to survive.
Right.
It was the fact that we didn't talk about it.
Right.
That's the issue.
That's the problem right there. And because like what do a lot of us do when we are so overwhelmed? We kind of just go inside ourselves, right?
Yeah.
So you have two people living together, but they're just going inward by themselves.
Yes.
And the distance that can grow between those two people doing that it's remarkable where that can go, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is not a novel thought in relationships, okay? Like telling each other the truth, like you said, communicating. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, this is like relationship 101. But why is it so hard to do all of these things, right? It's just hard to like get this happening in our life. So we already looked at a little bit of the science, and I wanted to pull in some scripture just about love and truth. And I think you can apply this to whether it's an intimate relationship or a friendship. Again, Brittany and I know that not everyone has the same exact faith as we do, but we're just sharing ours for a second, and hopefully you'll stick around and just go through it with us. But so in John 8:32, it tells us, you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Because Jesus knows that when we lean into love, we can feel the freedom of telling the truth and knowing we are still chosen.
Yes.
That is what Jesus does for us. And this is not outside the realm of possibilities in a human relationship, because we can have love and truth and it will set us free.
Yeah.
And if we look at Hebrews 13:5, we see, never will I leave you, never will I forsake you. Because abandonment is this deeply human wound. But God reminds us that his love is this constant thing, even when we're weak, afraid, ill, acting just all sorts of ways, right? And as image bearers, we're called to reflect his steadfastness in all of our relationships. So leaving someone in their time of need, whether it's emotional or physical, I feel like it contradicts the very nature of God's presence.
Yes.
But the truth is, it happens all the time and for a variety of reasons. And I think a lot of times it happens because that person is unequipped. And I am sure each one of us, me and you, everyone listening, that there was a time in our life when we wish we had showed up for someone differently. We look back and we're just like, oh, we don't even want to think about it because we're like just kind of disgusted with ourselves. We wish that we could have been more present and walk that road maybe a little bit more intimately with them, rather, like than you said, just being in the room but not being present at all. And so I want to just stop for a minute and say, if you have dealt with an illness or some type of trauma and you were abandoned, like whether it was your romantic relationship, and I'm going to even say like your family, I am so sorry. And we are so sorry because you didn't deserve that. No one deserves that. And I honestly feel that it's one of the hardest wounds to carry, especially when you're already navigating illness and trauma or deep vulnerability. And as we talked about in episode 1, grief, I would say honor that full range of emotions, because anger isn't bitterness. It's often the first choice, the first voice of your inner protector. And abandonment in the midst of illness or trauma, it isn't just a relational ending. It's like a rupture of trust and safety and identity. And it can feel like, honestly, confirmation of that very worst fear that we opened up with. You're too much. You're too complicated. This is too hard. You're too broken to love, right?
Yeah.
But we have to say this. That is a lie. And their leaving was not your fault, and it's not your future. So, for those of you, if this has been part of your past and your history and your story, I want to break the power of that lie and talk about ways to just be better equipped in relationships in the future, like Britt and just share that story. Because the fact that another human didn't have that emotional capacity and maturity to endure with you doesn't mean that there isn't someone out there who will stand by you through it all. I see, like Brittany, we know couples where this actually is happening, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I won't say that it's like every couple that I know, but I have actually seen it. So I know it exists. But it's going to be with someone who is safe. We love safe. We love the word safe, me and Brittany. Who's someone who is, right?
Favorite word.
Favorite word in the whole world. And consistent. Consistency is really nice too. And they're equipped and they're emotionally capable because they've done like the work. But man, we live in a really broken, completely upside down world. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's not super easy to find these people. But I do just want to share this with you. Like, they exist, and hold on to that, because I know when you're in it, it can just feel like I'm never going to find that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and y'all, they're not going to be perfect. We're not, saying that the men for Bridgerton are going to come alive and be amazing, but they are out there. Like, there is a partner out there that can fully embrace everything you have going on. And if you are with them now, or when you do find them, because guys, we have that faith for you. If you don't, I need both of you. I need you and your partner right now to hear this, right? You got to understand that love that endures through illness is truly the love that heals. And it changes the world, even if it's just the world inside your home. Because this kind of love, this is not flashy love. It's not the social media highlight reel kind of romance. It's not dinner by candlelight on the rooftop of Paris. It's dinner in bed because you're flaring and your partner remembered your comfort food. It's not couples yoga at sunrise. It's, did you take your medicine today? And hey, by the way, I picked up your prescriptions on my way home because I remembered. It's holding hands in waiting rooms. It's crying together when the test results suck. It's laughing about something ridiculous in the middle of the week that felt completely impossible. And it's like we did a few weeks ago when we agreed that the ER doc is grossly too attractive and giggled every time he walked in the room. Like, this is the kind of love, the kind that stays. This love has power, and it doesn't just survive hardship. It transforms through it. It rewrites the meaning of commitment. It teaches patience and humility and grace in a way that truly only shared pain can. And like I said, it's not perfect, but it's honest. It's not effortless, but it's rooted in something deeper than convenience. And while the world may not see it, and the healing that happens in your home, they don't see it, but that healing in your home happens because you both chose to stay and to show up and to love anyway. And that kind of love, like, it ripples out. It creates safety for your kids. It inspires your friends. It becomes a living example that love isn't about avoiding hard things. It's about choosing to walk through them together. So yes, this love, I think, totally changes the world, not because it's loud, but because it's the truest. This is the kind of love that heals every single thing that it touches.
Yes. Amen, girl. Keep it going. Keep it going.
Yeah. Soapbox off.
I mean, that is the kind of love. It doesn't retreat when things get hard. It pursues, it tends to the other person, it stays, and it is a love that mirrors Christ to the person that you love. And it's a love that testifies. So stay with us, friends. We have so much more to say on the topic of sick love. We're just going to take a quick break from our sponsors, who we're so grateful for because they keep this podcast going. We'll be right back. Trying to figure out what's triggering your symptoms but can't put your finger on it? Try Folia, a health tracking app to help you connect the dots and get to the bottom of what's going on. Download Folia Health free in the App Store with invite code LupusChick. Folia is the one app to track it all. Learn more at foliahealth.com/lupuscheck. That's FOLIA health.com/lupuscheck. Ever wish you could be paid to share your chronic illness story? The Insiders, insights like things you know, matches you to paid interviews, focus groups, and surveys to share your experiences. Visit theinsiders.com to check out our current opportunities for lupus patients.
Are you experiencing symptoms of lupus or feeling alone on this journey? The Lupus Foundation of New England is here to help you. They're dedicated to supporting those living with lupus, offering education, resources, and a community to help you navigate the journey. From learning about symptoms and testing to upcoming events and research, the Lupus Foundation of New England has you covered. Visit lupusne.org and connect with others who truly understand. You don't have to do this alone. Visit lupusne.org. That's lupusne.org today.
Okay, y'all, so welcome back. And definitely want to just take some time here and turn the tables and talk to the ones who stayed, right? These are the partners who have been with us through it all. And if you're the spouse or a partner of someone with chronic illness, first, hi, welcome. We're so glad that you are listening as well. Let us just say this very clearly to you. This is our message to you. We see you too. Like, you are seen. You are truly the unsung hero in a situation that nobody asked for. You didn't get a handbook. You didn't get trained. You didn't take a crash course on how to emotionally support a chronically ill partner while managing your own feelings and still taking out the trash. Like, you didn't get that book. You didn't sign up for this version of life, but you stayed. You stayed through the appointments and the flare-ups and the ER scares and the so many tears, the exhaustion. You stayed through the canceled plans, the endless "I'm sorry, I just can't" todays. And y'all, that's not nothing. And I want you to know that you are the very definition of love, because all of that is strength and that is sacrifice. And it's okay that you're tired. I want you to know that. Like, it is okay if you get frustrated. You're allowed to grieve too. And if nobody has told you that, here's your permission card. You can grieve about this too. You're allowed to not have the perfect words for us. You're allowed to feel like you don't know how to help. But what we need from you more than anything is this, and I hope you lean in on this, is please don't disappear. Like, please don't just leave. please don't stop trying. Don't stop showing up, even if it is imperfect. And if you need help, please get help, right? You don't know how to do this. We don't know how to do this. So please ask for help. Talk to a therapist, join a support group, ask for what you need, because your needs matter. Your pain matters too. And we are so grateful for you because you didn't walk away. You stayed. And even on days when we forget how to say it, we do know what it is cost. So thank you for loving us when you are not at your best and we're not at our best, and you still say. And to my husband, ooh, thank you for fighting for me again. And thank you for working through your stuff to stay. Thank you for choosing me when you didn't choose this and we didn't choose this. And thank you for being my best friend today, because I couldn't do this, at least not well, without you.
Girl, we're going to need a tissue break for a second.
Can we do a commercial break now?
I mean, we could. But honestly, like, I thank you for sharing that. I know that, you know, just as your friend for so many years, it's been really amazing to watch you and your husband. And it's been really hope-giving to see all the work that you have both put in, because I know it hasn't been easy. There have been some rough days. But how your relationship has, like, really, truly cemented in this deep love for one another. Like, you can just see over the years, like, just the growth in that. And I think it gives so much hope, and it reminds us that it can happen, right? Okay, guys? So when I was telling you that I see people where this is happening, well, Britt's one of them. So jumping off from that, I want to talk about some of the actual things that you can do as partners so that you can stay connected. Because when there is that yuck of the chronic illness, or you're in a really bad flare-up, or, you know, there was just some, like, serious trauma going on in your life, it can be really hard, right? So I think the biggest thing is, we were talking about just communication. Schedule those emotional check-ins with each other. We're not going to just, you know, your conversation for the day, every day, shouldn't just be about what medication you took or what symptoms you had, but how are you guys both really doing with everything that's happening? How are you doing with not just dealing with all the illness and how it's kind of seeping into every area? How are you handling work while you're dealing with this? You know, how are you handling finances and your intimacy with one another? Like, how do you feel? Did you have, like, a really hard day? Like, did it just feel really sad or just overwhelming? You know, was there something that just brought you some laughter? Like, actually communicate, and be honest about your limits. If one of you needs a break from just the heaviness, say so. Me and Britt talked about this before. Have a safe word like cacao or something silly to just lighten the mood for a second, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because maybe it's so much, right?
Yeah,
And
that is our literal safe word.
yeah, I love that. It's one of my favorite words.
Yeah, it's cacao. We're no more.
It's like when you say buku banana sandwich, like it just like it kind of just stops from everything you're talking about, and it makes you laugh, right?
Yes.
So because obviously these things get really heavy at times, and sometimes there's just a point where you're like, okay, I'm kind of at my max right now, and I need to just take a step back, and that's fine, because no one wants to live in that heavy either 24 hours a day, okay? But I also think it's really important. Find joy in really small things together. And so maybe you didn't go hiking up some huge mountain like you see couples doing on Instagram, but maybe you watched, like, this dumb romance or comedy and you laughed on the couch, and maybe you're just going to take a bubble bath together and rub each other's feet and be silly and just talk like you all did when you were first getting to know each other, and, you know, like, things were just light. But you also do have to name the hard stuff when it happens, right? Like, if you're both saying, man, this really sucks, and you're saying that out loud, like, that could be a lot more healing than pretending everything's fine and not really saying anything. But, like, you're both just in it together, and you're like, yeah, you're right. Like, this really blows right now. I mean, it's just the way it is. But be in it together, right? Like that's our whole point of, if you take away from anything from this episode, and do it together, right?
Can we make that a t-shirt?
This just blows. Girl, you know,
quality products here.
I will make that into a t-shirt because I feel like it carries over into multiple areas of life.
Yes.
This just blows. So sorry. Again, our goal, doing things together. So for you and your partner, that could be therapy. It could be a faith-based counseling. It could be a support group. It could be going to a conference. Like I went to this Wind Shape conference last year, and that was an amazing experience. And we did, things together. So that's essential, right? Because you're not alone in this. And again, this doesn't mean go onto your Reddit and rip your other half to shreds because you want to have 1,000 strangers jump in and tell them, well, we're on your side and you're right. Because in the moment that might feel really validating, but you are putting so many walls up and you're putting so much more distance between you and that person. And I'm telling you, over time, that is going to be, it's not even necessarily going to be the chronic illness or the trauma that destroyed the relationship. It's going to be death by 1,000 cuts and putting the wall up and not saying something when you really wanted to say something and having a really hard day but retreating. It's all of those little things that add up, and then eventually you're like living two different lives.
Yeah.
So together is really key. Talk to each other about what types of help each one of you is comfortable with, because one of you might be like, yeah, let's go on this like workshop or this retreat, and the other person's like, that sounds terrifying to me. Can we just go to like a couples therapist together for an hour and start there? So talk about that. Like, where are you comfortable? And I think that also sort of plays into this other idea of knowing how your partner feels loved and trying to do that often, right? Because you need to talk about, like, this is what I'm comfortable. This is how I feel like you're really loving me. And I'm sure Brittany and I have talked about it a million times, like the 5 love languages. It's a great book. Check that out. And it really helps you just be able to show love in the way that your partner actually receives love. So also pro tip, and I've talked about this in my memoir, celebrate those small wins. Like, hey, you got out of bed today, you took a shower, or you brushed your hair. Like, we're going to order takeout tonight, babe. We're going to celebrate that, because on those really hard days, like we know, because we live with chronic illness, like that is a win. Like if you have been in bed for a week, getting into the shower, washing your hair and making yourself a plate of food, it's like this rebirth in a sense. And those are just little things. And you might just be like, oh, that's so basic. Everyone can do that. And I can't believe I couldn't do it for a few days. And you're hard on yourself, rather than like, hey, I'm springing back. Like, there is sort of this rebirth in that, and it should be celebrated. Like, why don't we celebrate like things like that? Just like, why? Because it's not like a birthday or, this like what you call big T, but like it's not like a big C. It's not a big celebration. I don't agree with that. I think that we should celebrate stuff together, even, in the grand scheme of things, if it's just a small win.
Yeah. I mean, I love that we have big C's, because honestly, trauma and chronic illness brings out so many big T things in us that can take over everything. Like you were saying earlier, if all your conversation is about how I'm feeling today, right? Like, where are the big C's? Where is the times where, you didn't get the diagnosis that you thought, or when something good happened, like really taking life by the shoulders and saying, hey, I'm still here. Let's do something. How can we do it together? I think that is so huge to celebrate those things together. And, I'm sure that you've heard, this probably said at like a wedding, 1 Corinthians 13 says that love that bears all things, and it believes all things, and it hopes all things, and endures all things. That's love. And, love that's easy it's nice. I mean, I would like probably a little more easy button, is it like from Staples, like you hit the easy button, I would like that more. But love that endures, y'all, that's holy. Like that, that is pure holiness, because easy love is just merely infatuation. Love that's been tested and tried and it comes out stronger, that is the stuff you get tattooed on your body. That's the stuff of legacy, right? That's Jesus love. This is God in flesh. It's a modeled love that includes room for grief and patience for healing and grace for the days when it's too much for both of you. That's the kind of love.
Yeah. I mean, so if you're living with a chronic illness and you are scared of being abandoned, like, and this is a thought that goes through your mind often, hear us when we say you are not too much. You are not unlovable. You are still worthy of love exactly as you are. And if you need more of that pep talk because that sounds so uncomfortable to you, then we're going to say go back and listen to episode 4, which is on unsubscribing from believing that you are too much. So we're going to kill that lie in that episode.
Oh, absolutely. And again, if you are the partner who stayed, who still shows up, and who loves us through it all, even if it's imperfect, you are a gift. Like, here's my hug to do. You are a gift. We see you. We honor you. You are a part of our healing, even when it doesn't feel like it.
Amen to that. And if you haven't found that person yet, Britt and I just want to give you hope that it exists. And we believe in the right time, in the right season of life, like we will find that person, right? Like I believe that for everyone. So, all right, everyone, in the next episode, we are going to dive into part 2 of this Sick Love series. And we're going to ask ourselves why, here's a big one, why do we self-sabotage love? And how can we stay even when it gets hard? I mean, you may not even recognize some of the things that you're doing. It's a very interesting episode. We have very specific examples that I think you might be like, whoa, I definitely do that. And I didn't even recognize it until you just sort of pointed it out, right? You gave this example. So don't miss episode 8 and subscribe to the I'd Like to Unsubscribe podcast. Follow us on Instagram. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Send us messages, write comments. We love hearing from you guys, whether it's on YouTube, on Insta, and it's been just such a treat to get the comments. So until the next time, give your special person a little more grace, give yourself a lot more kindness, and remember that love that endures through illness is love that can actually heal and change the world. We love you guys.
See you next time. Bye, tribe.